This started all the way back in the 70s, a time of great television, entertainers, and some fantastic movies. And of course, Star Wars. No living room was too colorful, and no living room was safe from not having a sunken floor. Also a time where your kitchen had to be harvest gold or avocado green. It was a time of great cars, some not so great, and others were just fantastic, and you actually had a bench seat in the front. 1975, I wandered into a brand new hobby shop that had just opened up, and as I was walking around, I saw these very interesting miniatures that I'd never seen before. I was more interested in military models and miniatures at that time, but these seemed to really intrigue me. I've never seen these type of figures before. They had reminded me of some famous drawings and paintings by the famous artist Frank Frazetta, and I was just more and more intrigued, so I bought a pack or two of these. At the time, I was more interested in the military items, but something intrigued me about these. They're strange creatures, animals, and just the world of the fantastic. And since Star Wars had just come out, it just really began to trick my imagination. The more I looked into this world and the different things in it, I became more and more intrigued. As a young 15-year-old boy, this world just seemed to intrigue me more and more. I just couldn't get enough of it. The world that was created by Edgar Rice Burroughs and his Adventures on Mars. The first book was A Princess of Mars, and I was hooked. Every single book was just non-stop action and anything that a young man could envision. Just fantastic, fantastic stuff. My next problem was, at that time, there was almost no real game system to play one of these games. They did publish some games, but they were hard to find, and there was no internet, so if you went to a store they didn't have it, that was just too bad. Well, years went by. I had a gaming group. We played D&D for a long time, but by the time some friends got interested in these books, there was just no miniatures for this game. And along comes Hero Forge years later, and it enabled me to create my own figures and download them and have them printed out at a really reasonable price. I eventually found two game systems that seemed to work really well for this type of gaming. The first is a game called Gaslight. It's a very simple game for skirmish battles, and they actually have additions to the game where you could create characters, more along the Dungeons and Dragons type of game where you have individual characters. It's a really fun little game. I really highly recommend it. The next is a game called Warriors of the Red Planet, and that's published by Night Owl Games. It's a really fantastic role-playing game system. It's based on the old original role-playing game, and it has a multitude of reference materials as well. They tell you how to create worlds, how to create different characters, different creatures, and in the back there are even several pages that list actual books written by other authors besides Edgar Rice Burroughs that wrote very similar type of science fiction. So at this point in my life, in the year 2023, I have collected everything I need to play the game I've always wanted to since I was 15. However, there is no one to play the game with. So this is a sad story. I'm glad to share it with others who have very similar tragedies in their life as myself. Thank you for watching.